Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tennis Weekly with Joel, Kim, and Chris. On today's Tour Catch Up,
Sinner wins in Paris to reclaim #1 ranking,
Alcaraz exits early in shock defeat to Norrie.
and the WTA Finals gets underway in Riyadh.
Chris, today is the 3rd of November, and we are here to catch up on the week in tennis at Tennis Weekly HQ. The Paris Masters is over. The WTA finals are underway, and I have just got back from my little trip to Metz for the final edition of the Moselle Open. Yes, lots and lots of things to talk about. Sinner winning in Paris, of course, reclaiming the #1 ranking, a Carlos Alcaraz shock defeat to Cam Norrie. We're definitely going to be getting back into that. And Mboko into the top 20 for the first time as well with a title this week. And the WTA finals getting underway in Riyadh. Some interesting and surprising results so far. We're also going to be talking about in the first half Swiatek getting bageled and breadsticked by Rybakina. And we're going to have to look at the trials and tribulations of Coco Gauff and her serve and her forehand once again. We've got a game coming up in the second half, and we will be looking at what the ATP Tour and the #1 ranking means for Sinner and Alcaraz as we get into the final event of the season. Yes, we've got Davis Cup as well, but yeah, we are all gearing up for Turin. And I am going to be talking about my trip to Metz for the final edition as well. So lots and lots to talk about. And yeah, Chris, I mean, I've already mentioned it twice already. I'm back from Metz, and I'm not going to lie. I want to say I've been in 3 countries in one day, because I've been in France, I've been in Luxembourg, and I'm back in the UK.
Wow, all today.
All today, yeah.
Goodness.
Metz is a funny one, but we'll get into it. But it basically, you would fly to Luxembourg and get a 50-minute train in order to get to Metz.
And you weren't there for the Luxembourg ladies. You were too late for that.
I was too late. I was about 6 weeks, I think.
That's a big error, Joel.
Too late. Big error. I know. I was devoed. Barbora Strycova. I did actually look up the lineup earlier. Angie Kerber.
Yeah, Kerber won it, fresh from, coming off paternity
But
leave.
I needed to see how all the kind of mid-tier Frenchmen, they're all just a jumble in my mind. So I needed to go to Metz and Metz qualifying. And I did see a few round one matches as well, just to kind of understand, okay, what is the pecking order? Because there's so many Frenchmen out there on the tour. So
you had to go yourself. Because I was going to ask, did you mean to go to Luxembourg ladies? And also, did you mean to go to the finals of Metz and got the wrong weekend? Because you did go qualifying in round 1. So I'm guessing, well, hopefully you saw, our French #1, Mannarino.
Yes, I did see, Mannarino. And yes, we did go this weekend. It was a little bit of a group trip. This was the only weekend that was workable. And
you looked at the schedule and you thought Metz.
We thought it was Metz.
Or Athens?
Athens maybe.
Djokovic surely would be a bigger draw. But Joel, you're in the trenches. You're happy to watch qualifying over 2.
And there were some Brits there. Billy Harris was there, and Jan Choinski also qualified. So, But we're going to be talking, listeners, more about that in the second half.
Ignore Paris. This is
I'm
all about
already excited
Metz
about
qualifying.
Talking about it. Exactly. But Chris, we're going to start with what caught your attention this week.
Okay, so this could be breaking news at the time that this goes live, listeners. I have been an internet sleuth. I've been on Twitter, well, X, as I should be calling it, and I saw that the Auckland tournament, the ASB Classic, has been teasing one of the announcements they're going to make about the players. Actually, their first player announcement, I believe, and it's a silhouette. And Joel, you can see the silhouette. I'm not sure our listeners can.
This is great social media hype teaser content, I think, for a tournament.
Well, they say, guess who it is? And I mean, it says win tickets. I'm not sure that the flights pay for themselves to Auckland, but having said
where's
that,
the small print?
P's and C's. It's going to be a little bit tricky there. But Joel, can you identify the star? Because I'm very excited. That's a bit of a clue. Who do you think this could be?
Oh, I really don't know, because it's going to be someone I feel like with short hair, because they've got a cap on. It's not. it doesn't give to me that they've got
You're wearing
kind of
a cap,
long,
Joel,
long
but
hair.
you've probably
Yeah,
got,
actually, I think maybe it is me. Yeah.
Oh, it could be. Okay, so you're playing Auckland. Well, I can tell you, I recognize this image because I believe it's Venus Williams, Joel.
Ooh.
And Venus might be playing outside of the US, but she said that she really wasn't interested in doing. So Venus might be playing a season on the tour, and this US swing could have just been her preparing for what could be. And I don't want to say it's a send off at this point because we'll all get in trouble for doing that again. But wouldn't that be interesting?
That would be very, very interesting. I mean,
Or is it just the social media admin, having fun with us, Joel?
yeah,
We've been here before.
It feels like quite a generic kind of silhouette.
You're not convinced?
It's not very distinctive. So maybe it is like a. I don't
Could
know.
it be an Ostapenko? It's hard to tell. Who wears a cap on the tour? Ostapenko doesn't wear a cap, actually. It's a bad decision.
Yeah,
No, I think
Iga Swiatek.
unmistakably Venus. Well, listeners, I'm breaking the news here. Venus Williams is playing in Auckland. It's happening, and I'm excited.
Chris has set his stall out early. Listeners, do go on to their social media and have a look at the silhouette and let us know who you think the mystery player is. That I'm sure is going to run, and we will kind of follow it as we go into the next season. But something, Chris, I want to talk about that caught my eye was Jannik Sinner, and he did a bit of a promo sponsorship video with Gucci that came out this week, and it was him not playing tennis, but it was him skiing because he, as I'm sure a lot of our listeners know or might not know, he was a very, very talented skier growing up. And nice little video of him in some, I imagine, some very expensive sunglasses and ski outfits on the slopes. But it did get me thinking. I mean, hang on, this guy is he's the world #1 ranked player. Like, who is signing off? I'm presuming during the season to go hit the slopes.
Is that what you think? Because I was thinking, when did he have time to do this? Could it have been in that downtime that he had when he was banned from the tour? I'm thinking you might.
We didn't see it get leaked or papped, though, did we?
No,
but I guess it's quite remote. This could be quite a remote thing.
He couldn't be anywhere near a tennis court. And, he probably was skiing. He was pictured actually skiing at the time, I do believe, with fans because he wasn't allowed to be anywhere near a tennis court. So potentially it could have been done then.
Was it strength and conditioning training for those knees?
Well, he did come back looking pretty strong. And, skiing's pretty physical for the body. But I was going to say, Joel, do you think did he have a stunt man or did he do his own stunts for this?
Wow, I think he would actually be better than the stuntman, given his prowess, let's say, or how hyped I feel he is as a junior.
Yeah, it was either be world #1 of tennis or
I don't feel like anyone.
Skier.
He wouldn't need a stunt.
So you're convinced it's him that they signed the release? I think
convinced it's him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if it was him, very impressive bit of off-piste skiing and looking the part as well. But Joel, he's been busy, well, on the court as well as in the Alps.
Off the court as well as on the slopes. On the slopes. Yes, indeed, because we must, listeners, get on to the Paris Masters, where Jannik Sinner has clocked up yet another title, defeated Felix Auger Aliassime in the finals, straight set 6-4, 7-6. So Jannik Sinner is the champion. His first ever Paris Masters title, his fifth Masters 1000 crown overall. And as I mentioned, he now returns to the #1 slot in the ATP rankings. Chris, what did you make of Jannik Sinner's performance in Paris? We're going to get on to Carlos Alcaraz in a bit, but quite kind of contrasting. And you've got to say with Sinner, he's really asserting his dominance, on the tour. And whenever he plays a tournament, whatever level it is, he more or less is coming out on top.
Well, on indoor hard, I'd say, obviously the US Open, he didn't manage to come out on top, wasn't very close to coming out on top there. So the way he's regrouped has been very impressive. There was lots of talk that he wouldn't be playing in Paris. He wouldn't play Vienna and Paris. He's played both and won both. So hugely impressive from him. He made it look very, very easy for the majority of the tournament. I mean, he absolutely dismantles Zverev, and it does make me concerned for the ATP finals that it might not be the closest contest that we're getting, a bit like some of these matchups that we're seeing on the WTA side of things. But my key takeout from this was that Felix Auger Aliassime is not far off. I thought he played an absolutely incredible second set. He was really going for a shot. I mean, fantastic winners, really kind of, at times, I think it was on his racket. He was the one who was dictating the winner, old unforced error. He was really pushing Jannik Sinner. And just when you get to that tie break, you have to think that Sinner's experience, as soon as you reach a tie break, you think he's going to come through. He's going to land the big serves. He's not going to be so much in his head. He's so used to being in these situations. But that was my key takeout, is I'm very optimistic about what Felix can do. And I think he is going to peak next year. I think he's really on the way.
Yeah, I mean, Sinner, has been so dominant, hasn't dropped a set. He's now up to a 26-match win streak on indoor courts. And there's not really a lot that can stand in his way. We sort of feel like Carlos Alcaraz on his day can stand in his way. Alexander Zverev, I think maybe not in Paris, but certainly last week.
Stand, that was it.
But certainly last week, I think he showed that if Sinner is not playing at his best and Zverev is playing at his best, I think he could maybe get a victory over Sinner.
More than one game, Joel. I mean, 6-love, 6-1.
I mean, this was very surprising, very different, of course, to Vienna. I think them. I mean, he must have been injured. I mean, what I was reading was because Medvedev, who Zverev played and defeated in a final set tiebreak to get to the semi-finals in Paris, he was scheduled to play in Metz, and he actually went to Metz, and then his camp told him, "You need to pull out, sadly, because he was injured." And I think both Medvedev and Zverev pushed themselves to the absolute, and probably I think beyond the limit in their match, because I don't think Zverev was particularly 100% fit, and it'll be interesting to see, as you said, whether what that means for the tour finals. But certainly for Jannik Sinner, I mean, I don't feel like there's a lot more you can kind of say, really, because he's just so dominant, and I just don't think it matters what tournament it is. He's just this kind of model of consistency that any place, any time you put him on a tennis court, more likely than not, he is going to win.
I think that's pretty fair. I mean, if you look at his season, and actually something very interesting is that if Sinner and Alcaraz have started a tournament, every tournament this year, one of them has walked away as the winner. So I think it's clear there are two players that are really dominating. And I think sometimes you get those fluctuations in form from someone like Alcaraz, less so from Sinner. I think he is the model of consistency, as you say. The bar never drops below a certain point, whereas for Alcaraz in this tournament, I mean, Joel, the Norrie match, I don't want to start with a negative. I want to make it clear. I think Norrie did very well, and beating the world number one is never something to kind of make light of. But Alcaraz was out of sorts. He really was. I mean, the errors were flowing. He was turning to his team. He said he was furious with the court being so slow. All this talk about the courts being slowed down to help, but did not help Carlos Alcaraz.
50 plus, I think, unforced errors from Carlos Alcaraz. When this came
in
through...
a 3-set match.
I know. It's almost impressive that he actually won the set with the way he was playing. And good performance from Norrie. And, it has to be said, I think, Norrie is a difficult type of opponent for Alcaraz. I think Norrie's won 3 of the last 5 matches against Carlos Alcaraz. So he is a tricky opponent for him. But how worried are you for Carlos Alcaraz in terms of his form? He had obviously that great run in Tokyo, but if you kind of look at, I guess, the 6 King Slam and quite a normal defeat to Sinner, and then you go to this and first match in Paris, a place, admittedly, again, a place he has not performed that well at as a Masters event. Even if it was a new setting, it's ultimately been a very similar story.
I mean, since the US Open, we haven't necessarily seen that sort of level that we've seen from him
Mm.
previously. He did win in Japan, so that's definitely something he can take some confidence in. He did get a title between the US Open and going out early in Paris. He also has gone out early in Paris before. Last year, he went out to Umber, which is, I mean, on an indoor hard court. There's no kind of great surprise there, given how good Umber is also. He's also got one of the best records, along with Jannik Sinner, when it comes to the indoor hard court period of, well, time that he's playing on it. So I really just think it's not his best tournament, and I don't think he adapted that well to the conditions that were there. My big concern has to be around the fact that he couldn't problem solve at all. And it felt like the frustration got to him in a way that we don't often see him that frustrated. So I think that's more worrying to me than the result. I think you can lose a match and then think, I can figure out what I did wrong. But I felt like he was just at a complete loss. And it wasn't that difficult to see what he should be doing. But he was in panic mode, which was quite surprising to see. I'm
Yeah, from a
sure.
setup as well.
Yeah, I'm sure that won't be the case when he's next on the tennis court. He'll refocus. And when he does have these losses, you know, like a tough loss at Wimbledon, he refocused and won the US Open. So I don't think it's too much of a problem. He isn't someone who can peak throughout the entire year constantly either. So I think that's where they're different. But Joel, the big question I have to say is now that Sinner has reclaimed the number one ranking for a week at this point, I mean, that's what it will be, unless he is able to reclaim it again and kind of win the ATP Finals. It's the race for number one, the year end number one, which is obviously a huge prize for tennis. The odds are in Carlos Alcaraz's favor because Sinner is defending and he won undefeated last year. So maximum number of points, 1,500. Alcaraz needs to win 3 matches. What do you think is going to happen in this race? Unpack this for me with what you're thinking.
Well, I personally think Jannik Sinner should be the year-end number one.
Oh,
And I think
Joel. I wasn't going to say that.
I mean, if you look at the tournaments he's entered this year, of course he got suspended. You know, he was suspended and had to take time off earlier in the year. But I think he's reached 9 finals of the 11 events he has played this season, or something similar, you know, to that. And I think what's kind of interesting in terms of their rivalry is this. I do think that they're going to, of course, be competing with each other for Grand Slams. And we know that Carlos Alcaraz can peak at Grand Slams. But in terms of the number one ranking, I think this certainly is much more favorable, I think, to Sinner because he's so consistent. I think that he can just kind of build and build points throughout the season in a way that I don't think Carlos Alcaraz can. And maybe actually in 2-3 years' time, they might be, you know, neck and neck still on number of Grand Slams, and they might be trading to and fro. But I wouldn't be surprised if we go into maybe a kind of a level of I don't see it necessarily switch, even though they're kind of quite close. I don't necessarily see them kind of maybe switching and passing the baton over and over for that number one ranking because I just think Sinner is too consistent, and I'm not really sure Alcaraz is that bothered about the consistency because he's there to win trophies
and exhibitions.
And exhibitions. And I think he backs himself to kind of peak in those right moments and, you know, with his team that he doesn't maybe feel like he necessarily needs to be on for absolutely every single tournament.
That is interesting because I was going to say, I think this favors potentially, you know, Carlos Alcaraz because 3 matches is what he needs to win. So either he needs to win all of his group stage matches, but then that's also based on Jannik Sinner going undefeated. So if Sinner has one slip up at all, you know, that could actually produce a very
Do you think he's going to slip up?
I mean, he doesn't really slip up, does he? That is the problem. I reckon, based on what I saw from Felix, there will be opportunities, and that's why I really would quite like Felix to make it to the ATP Finals because he's a properly good indoor hardcourt player, and I think we've seen players who aren't the best on that surface, you know, miss out like Nadal missed out on an ATP Finals, the big trophy he didn't win, and I don't really want to see that for Carlos Alcaraz. So I hope at some point he is able to do that. But the point I find interesting is that I guess you're right in the sense that being banned for 3 months and still being so close to being number one, still,
It's
despite
incredible.
that,
We are here at this
it is
moment.
crazy when you think about that, and the fact he made the finals of every single Grand Slam as well. That's obviously a very big deal. He didn't win as many titles this year as Carlos Alcaraz because Carlos did pick up those titles on the clay swing as well, and obviously he picked up Queens. So I think it's a tricky one. I do believe that Carlos Alcaraz probably has, I mean, I don't want to say like fumbled it with the Paris result, but maybe that was weighing on him because it wouldn't have taken many wins there for him to actually give himself the perfect opportunity to secure the year number one ranking. And I guess the point is if he didn't do it this year, and he might not do it this year, he still could, then if Sinner's playing a full year, are you saying it's highly likely that Jannik Sinner will remain the dominant force?
I agree, and I don't think he will necessarily maybe feel the pressure of playing with so many points. I mean, both of them are so far out there. I think I was reading actually the player who is ranked 100 in the world is closer to
The number three.
to Zverev, a number three position than Zverev is to Alcaraz. But I wouldn't be surprised if we get to a point where there is a bit more of a buffer, perhaps, between Alcaraz and Sinner. I know people see them as this sort of entwined rivalry, and it's
two slams
too
each,
close
though,
to call.
Joel,
But yes,
that's where I think it's like the consistency versus the big tournaments and what you're looking to win. So you're saying the year end number one ranking is going to go to Jannik Sinner.
Yes.
I think Carlos Alcaraz is going to get it.
Oh, okay.
So we are split. We'll have to see what Kim thinks. I just feel like you can never. I mean,
it's going to have to take for me a monumental performance just to defeat Sinner. I think.
Could it be a serve bot experience?
Finals. Arguably, the only thing that's going to beat Jannik Sinner is Jannik Sinner. That's where I'm sort of at the moment. And I thought maybe going into Paris, we saw sign of those cramps.
The bounce back was incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah. It just feels like he is man on a mission and emotion.
Yeah,
man on a mission. I mean, we do have 7 of the 8 confirmed. Alcaraz, Sinner, Zverev, Djokovic, Shelton, Fritz, Alex de Minaur. The 8th slot is still available, Chris. And it could be Felix Auger Aliassime. It could be Lorenzo Musetti.
It could indeed. We're going to unpack that a bit later, aren't we?
We will get to that in a sec. But a good event out in Paris. And we also have the WTA Finals in Riyadh, which are underway. And Chris, we've had some interesting, mind-boggling, let's say, results so far. We're going to talk about Coco Gauff, but first we're going to start with Iga Swiatek because one of the matches today was Swiatek versus Rybakina. Rybakina, I guess similar a little bit to FAA, in really good form at the moment, and qualified by the skin of her teeth, but she's really riding that momentum into the finals. And this was a crazy victory over Swiatek, but at the same time, maybe a little bit of a familiar story because it ended in a BAGEL 3-set defeat for Swiatek, something that's already happened this season. A few months ago with Emma Navarro. What's happening here with Swiatek? Because we thought she was back at Wimbledon, and I don't know. To me, it feels like this season we've actually seen like the best Iga Swiatek, but we've also seen the worst Iga Swiatek, and actually her high and low, similar to kind of Carlos Alcaraz, is arguably getting wider.
I think that's pretty fair for someone who was so consistent last year. I mean, really consistent, really didn't let up. And someone who works as hard as she does and is such a great mover is not normally the sort of person that you expect to drop away like this. I think normally the movers are able to give themselves a good chance in some of these matches. I think she did get that good win over Madison Keys, 6-1, 6-2. I think Madison has been under the weather as well, so we will just make that clear.
Not played since the US Open either, I don't think.
Yeah, she's not been in great form there, and she has changed her service action. But in this match, she started well. It was very high quality from Rybakina as well as Swiatek. She took that set 6-3. And what I was surprised about was just how much she kind of just faded away. I think that was the big thing that surprised me. And the court surface, I mean, it does kind of kick up quite a bit, but she was missing a lot of second serve returns, like by a lot of margin, a lot of mistakes, which aren't always characteristic of her. I think it was 43 unforced errors to 12 winners, and she only won like one of the last 13 games. So she was blown off the court, and Rybakina was playing exceptionally well, but at the same time, she was getting help. I mean, 43 winners will help you on your way. With Iga, it doesn't mean that she's out. That is what she's so good at and what you've already talked about. She bounces back. I mean, after that run on clay, people were talking about whether she should skip grass. Then she wins Wimbledon and double bagels the final. So you can never count her out. She has got a chance, and it is a shootout against Anisimova, Joel. Your pick for the title.
Oh, yeah, I know. I was a little bit worried earlier because Madison Keys feels a little bit under the weather. There was a moment at the end of the match where she didn't shake the umpire's hand, and it wasn't because she was like angry at the umpire. I think it was just because she didn't want to maybe pass any kind of infection or germs to the umpire. So yeah, I think Anisimova's done really well so far. You know, she's coming through again, gutsy battles that you wouldn't necessarily have said an older Anisimova would have kind of come through. So I still kind of like the look of Anisimova.
Is she going to beat Iga, do you think?
I wouldn't. Do you know what? I wouldn't be.
I don't think it's going to be the prettiest match.
No, I don't. I think it'll be very topsy-turvy, but I do think Anisimova, at the moment and in kind of the third set, I feel like you maybe give her the slight edge because it just feels like it kind of falls away a bit too easily maybe from Swiatek at the moment. I mean, what about the defending champion, Coco Gauff? Because
my pick to defend the title, Joel.
Yes,
I'm a bit worried. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's not been great. And again, kind of similar stories from earlier in the season. And what I'm just trying to put my head around is the fact that she was really good in Asia. She won a title in Asia, a title I predicted, no less. In I think was that Beijing? Was it Beijing?
Wuhan.
Or was it Wuhan? Yep. So she won Wuhan, and then we're back to kind of looking at her kind of serve, double faults, forehand, forced errors. Yeah, again, not very pretty.
She didn't drop a set on that way to the title over in China for that win. In the final over there, she did hit 8 double faults to 4 aces. Here, 17 double faults and big ones. It was very similar to Carlos Alcaraz's loss to Norrie for me, where she just looked like she did not know what she should be doing, and it wasn't going to work for her. Obviously, there's still fight there, but 75 unforced errors is huge. I'm not feeling that confident she's going to win the title again because she has made that change to her serve. And I think probably it's going to take the off season to really fix it. She's working with the same biomechanics expert that Sabalenka worked with. That worked well for her. Again, that was an off-season job that sorted it. So I think she needs to take the time. I think that she was looking to, her biomechanics expert, Gavin.
Do you think it's just the biomechanic element? Or do you think there's kind of a mental element as well? Because I'm almost like I don't know if she's confident or trusts maybe the process that kind of she's going through, and you could maybe kind of learn these kind of ways to kind of tinker and optimize your serve, but if mentally there's something holding you back or you're not sure about it, it still might end in the kind of the same results that you were originally in.
Yeah, definitely. But at the same time, it wasn't a problem. She should be high on confidence. That was the reason why I said I thought she's going to do well here. She's had such a good run of straight sets wins on the way to another big title. So that's why I was particularly surprised by it. I think so much is mental. I also think she was going for a lot bigger second serves because she didn't feel comfortable in the motion. I think it was a bit slow at times, didn't want to dump it in the net, and she was taking more risks. So the thing that I have a real question mark around is how do you predict what happens on the WTA Tour? Because Coco's had some serious highs this year. She's also had some real lows, similar to Iga Swiatek. But with Coco, sometimes the forehand is a massive problem. 45 unforced errors on the forehand side. Sometimes it works. Sometimes the serve works. Sometimes it doesn't. And you just have to feel like she must also be at a bit of a loss as to which version of myself is going to play today. So I'd like to see her up the consistency because she's so good that it just doesn't really make sense what's going on. I think the same with Iga. I'm not really feeling that we have the big three. I feel like we have, Sabalenka rock solid, and then we have some players who can peak at different times, but not consistently on the tour at the moment.
Yeah, it's almost like old habits die hard. But I guess one promising thing for Coco Gauff is that she's got Jasmine Paolini next, and she defeated Paolini in the semis in Wuhan just a few matches ago. So maybe there's a little bit of
Paolini also unwell, so maybe it'll be the last woman standing in Riyadh.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, we've spoken about predictions, Final Four before. Are you still backing Coco Gauff, or are you going to change your predictions?
Oh, I mean, I don't like to change things up because I've really been doubling down on the YouTube comments, Joel. We've had a lot of people making me aware of a certain clip we put out of our winners. And the only person who's looking pretty good for it is actually Kim with Pegula, which we actually sort of mocked at that point.
We did.
But the thing we got right was that Keys wasn't going to make it to the semis, and she is out. So, in a world where predictions are hard to make, a crumb
of confidence we can take.
We've gone a long way from me predicting her AO win to predicting she'll go out round robin stage.
Indeed, and we did have a few other tour events out in Asia, in Hong Kong, Zhejiang as well, and we also had an event out in Chennai. Chris, one of the big stories from the event in Hong Kong was the fact that Victoria Mboko won her first WTA 250 title, defeated Buxa of Spain in the final in 3 sets. This was the longest tour final this year. 2 hours, 49 minutes, 7-5, 6-7, 6-2 in the end. Mboko, great result for her. She's had a fantastic season. Not, been a little bit quiet, I guess, since that breakout moment in Montreal, but nonetheless, she is a player who everyone is going to be looking out for next season.
You said a bit quiet. I mean,
I think so.
Joel, you were counting the number of straight sets losses she had in a row the other week.
I know.
I don't think that's quiet. I think she kind of dropped off, the face of the earth for a bit in terms of the form, but she was struggling with injury and she was really not having a good time of it. So I think it's a great way for her to end the year, another title showing that it wasn't just a flash in the pan. She is getting the form back, and she's a player to watch for 2026 because she's so exciting as a prospect. And the way she fought back from, potentially it wasn't going to go her way at certain times. And when she did have the chances to close it out and then coming through in the third set, I mean, that's a champion's mentality. So very impressive. And it's not bad winning the longest match of the year. I mean, I think I'm surprised it wasn't Iga Swiatek versus Alexandrova.
I'm surprised it was the longest final, and there was a 6-2 final set in there. So I
guess Cerebro's Tormo's not on the tour anymore, is she really?
that is very true. But yeah, Mboko also was a set down like 3 times and kind of won through. So great kind of mental approach as well. She reached the quarterfinals in Tokyo and lost to one of the form players at the moment, Rybakina. So maybe that was a little bit of a sign she had got her form back going into this event. So yeah, good on Victoria Mboko. Yanis Chen of Indonesia made history in Chennai because she became the first player from her country to win a tour level singles title in 23 years. A little bit of history.
Wow.
Defeated Kimberly Burrell of Australia in the final. Not much to write home about in terms of the final, but good historic moment for Chen.
For sure. And I mean, it's good to see that there's a tennis tournament in India again, which is great. And she's been putting some quite good results together. Qualified at the US Open. That's when Kim declared that she was Polish based on the flag, famously. So it's nice to see that, there is one consistent Polish player on the tour, and it might not be Iga Swiatek.
And finally, we had Anna Blinkova win in Zhejiang in China, defeated Lily Taggart, a Austrian wildcard, 6-3, 6-3, to claim the second title of her career and first since 2022. Another player who I think is going back up the rankings. I mean, I feel like she's quite inconsistent,
Mm.
but she's now a little bit closer to cracking the top 50.
Well, she's dangerous, isn't she? That match against Rybakina at the Australian Open, I mean, that was pretty iconic. So she's never someone that you want to play when she's able to like, swing freely. And I guess this is the time of the year when you can pick up a 250 or a title when maybe you wouldn't be able to when they're more hotly contested. So a great result for her. A shame to see some players not do very well here. Especially not Donovekic wasn't in this draw. Sorry, Anne Lee, who won last week on the tour, who went out in the first round. So that was a bit of a shock because she was the number one seed here.
Yeah, and I will say, I've got to mention, I think it was in Jiangxi, but it might have been in Chennai. Emily Webley-Smith, British fans,
Yes.
41 years old, and made her first ever WTA doubles final. Incredible achievement. Just fell short in the final, but another impressive moment.
So impressive. What a result for her. And I think it's those stories that I think should inspire people that if you keep working at it, you never know when you're going to have your best result. And who knows, maybe this is the time of the season, a few 1-2-5s, and she might be at a career high ranking.
Exactly. Right, we're going to take a quick break now. Do join us in the second half where we will be discussing the mystery as to why Mira Andreeva missed out on the WTA Finals. We're going to be previewing the inaugural Djokovic Open in Athens, and I personally will be giving you my highlights from the last ever Moselle Open in Metz. So do not go anywhere. Welcome back to the Tennis Weekly podcast, and we're going to start, as always, with another game. We're going to rest Chris par for the courts this week, and we're going to have a Joel's game.
Oh, no. I forgot what this one is, Joel.
Joel's game is, for you and our listeners, is career high ranking.
Yes. Oh, it's going to be French, isn't it?
Higher, lower, or same. And you might be onto something there because I've got a list of players...
Oh, goodness gracious me.
Who are my friend, who I've affectionately called my French mid-tier males.
Oh, this is going to be tricky.
So, as you could probably imagine...
We're probably British mid-tier males.
As you can imagine, I was out in Metz, and yeah, there were a lot of mid-tier Frenchmen that were just kind of swimming around in my mind, trying to kind of be like, oh yeah, I remember that person from that, remember that person from that. And I put them all down on a piece of paper and put their career high rankings together.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you them, and you're going to tell me if the next person is higher, lower, or same in terms of their career high ranking.
Right, okay. I normally do this one with Kim, so this is going to be a challenge by myself. But I'm hoping you didn't just go for players who were in the qualifying draw over in Metz. I'm hoping there were a couple that... No? Okay, here we go.
It's going to be tricky. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be tricky, but we're going to see how we do. We're going to see how we
definitely one that our US audience will do well at, Joel.
Right, we're going to start with... And there's no, as I like to say, skin in the game just yet. But we're going to start with Luca Van Asch.
Wow.
What do you think his career high ranking is?
Well, I have nothing to play on this one, do I?
I just need a number.
Number 60.
It's not bad. 663. So very good. Very good start there.
And that doesn't have no points for that.
Yes, no points for that. But I'm going to give you a player and you're going to tell me higher, lower, or same.
Right.
Quentin Halys.
Oh, I think he's going to be higher. But do you want a number as well?
Yes, please. So you think higher as in closer to 1?
I think he's been like 42. Or maybe 48. Let's say 48.
That is correct. He has been higher, 46 career high ranking. So there you go.
Would you have to stop now?
You'd have to stop that. Well, that's not how it works. Here is the next player for you. Benjamin Bonzi.
Right. That is tricky. I don't think he's been that high because we mostly only talked about him when he well, when Kim called him Bonsai, it's my only real memory of him. But has he been higher than Hallis is the question. I think he
It's a
has been
tricky one.
higher.
Higher, lower, or same than 46?
I kind of want to say same, but I don't think you'd do that at this point. So I'm going to say higher, but not confident.
Higher is correct. Very good. 42.
We're not getting into
ranking.
seeded players here.
No, we're not. We're not.
I was praying for a Manarino, a Monfils, please.
Next player for you is Terence Atman.
Oh, goodness gracious me. This does not feel fair.
Had a very good run earlier in the year.
I think it was at a Masters. He had
a Masters, yeah. Just to kind of add a little bit of...
But I honestly don't think he's done anything at all since then. I don't think I've even heard his name since. I don't think... What number are we on?
42.
I don't think he's been higher than 42. I don't think a Masters semi-final and nothing else gets you higher than that. So I'm going to say lower.
Lower?
Maybe, I think it's been like 53.
Lower is correct. Very good.
Is this game over, Joel, please?
61.
Okay.
Okay. I've got a couple more names for you. So the next one is Arthur Cazzo.
Now,
higher, lower, or same than 61?
But he's had a tough time with injury. But I do think he's been higher. I'm going to say higher, but I don't know why I'm saying that. I think he might have been in the 40s. Like 48.
So you're saying higher?
Yes.
It's correct. Very good.
Is this the last one? I'm at final round.
58. You're at the final round.
Come on. I'm pleased it's ending, not that I'm winning.
Final round. Final player. Hugo Gaston.
I know. I knew this was coming.
Hugo Gaston.
Higher or lower than?
Let me have a look. Higher, lower, or same as 58?
I think he's been higher. I think he's been higher, like maybe like 52. I don't think you're going to throw a same at this point. So I'm going to say higher.
Higher?
52, yeah.
52?
For the win.
It's incorrect, Chris. Oh no, fell at the final.
Oh no. Sorry,
hurdle.
Kim, if you're listening. What was it?
It was same. It was 58.
That is a horrible thing to do, Joel, at this stage of the game.
I was being poker face on for our YouTube listeners. I had to be I was biting my tongue there. But yes, 58 career high ranking. I did not realize it was the same as Arthur Cazzo, but yes,
very different players, all very similar rankings, and probably all about to stay in a similar spot anyway. But maybe more promise for Cazzo might make it out of the mid.
Yeah, I think so. He looked pretty good. But I will say also Hugo Gaston also looked pretty good. I think they both looked like they could crack the top 15 easy.
Okay. Is that a prediction?
Yes, it is a prediction. There you go. That is my prediction. Listeners, let us know, how did you get on with our French mid-tier males? Quite an interesting one, I thought. Let us know how you got on. We're going to be moving on now, though, to the mailbag because we got a question in this week on our socials around Mira Andreeva. So let's have a read. Mira Andreeva did an interview this week where she confirmed she did not apply for a wild card for Tokyo and that it was a team decision to not compete for the final spot at the WTA Finals, but to let Rybakina's performance dictate if she would make it to Riyadh. She said that she will learn from this and will not make the same mistake again. Felix has done a similar thing and pulled out of Metz, saying he is happy either way and that it is on Musetti's racket. Is this a strange move from both? And why do you think their teams made this decision?
Ooh,
Very interesting one here
it's a
because
juicy one.
this
Topical,
is
Joel.
this is essentially saying, do you want destiny in your own hands, or are you happy to kind of put maybe the pressure on your opponent or whoever else is in the running and say, well, if you qualify, then fair play, you've done very well to do that. And yeah, we've seen that with Andreeva, we've seen that with Felix Auger Aliassime, because he has pulled out of Metz. What do you where do you stand? How would you strategize, Chris, if you were in a similar position?
Well, we talked about this and how strange it was that Andreeva wasn't playing. And I think I was wondering about Stockholm at the time, and I got the social post saying that Paolini had qualified. And I thought, how on earth? Because there's another tournament next week and there's points on the line. It's a 500. So I was very, very confused by that, because I thought, surely she's going to give it a go, because these are the sort of numbers that people look back previously. They look at these, how many times you've qualified, youngest qualifier, all these different things. It's obviously a big accolade, especially given the fact she's had such a good start to the season. So I was very surprised by that decision not to play. I did think that it was visa related, because Ellen Perez, who's on the player council, said that she didn't have a visa for Tokyo. So a lot of people thought she wanted to play but couldn't. So that part was very confusing. So it seems like her team thought it was highly likely she was going to qualify, or they weren't that bothered by it. But it seems like she was a bit bothered by it, because also she's actually in Riyadh now playing the doubles. So why would you not play the singles as well? So very strange decision making. I do think it could be like they got kind of caught out by this very specific rule, which is that you have to play a certain number of 500 tournaments. But if you haven't, and in this case, Jasmine Paolini hadn't, but she did do the media responsibilities for one tournament, which therefore means it counted, but she didn't play it. So it's almost like a technicality that you don't get a points reduction because of that. So maybe it was a calculation issue. I honestly cannot understand it unless you didn't want to play it. So I think potentially either a team error or she didn't fancy it. For Felix, I think he probably realizes that if he plays in Metz, there's a chance that even if he does qualify for Turin, it won't be a great tournament for him physically. That's probably what I think is most likely. I don't know exactly how he feels about it, but he said he had some physical issues this week. And his health and condition is more important than qualifying. And he goes, if I qualify, great. If not, Lorenzo will deserve his place. I think I do get that, but turning up and winning a match to qualify for an ATP Finals, I think is probably worth it. Unless he's got a text from Djokovic saying Djokovic isn't playing, Joel.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe FAA is playing the odds here because, Musetti's not actually won a tour title.
Oh, yeah.
This year. He's got to win the title in order to qualify. So, I sort of understand it there.
Was that a dig though, Joel? Is that a dig on Musetti that he's saying? There's no way.
Just can't see. With Djokovic in the draw, I think it's a very, very tall. I think it's a very,
and the
very
pressure.
tall
I don't think
order.
Musetti's famously playing well under pressure always.
I sort of don't. I think it's a little bit more baffling for Mira Andreeva because Rybakina was the form player, had momentum, and I feel like you don't want to give that up without a fight. She's young. She wants to play her tennis. Maybe, on the tour, I know we've seen recently, she looked like at points she didn't maybe want to be there. But, at the same time, I think with how, she started the season, I think she would have probably wanted to be there. So I'm a little bit kind of more confused by that one. But I think from Felix's point of view, I think he's just playing the odds. The odds, playing the odds.
I do kind of agree with that. I also think actually if Djokovic wasn't playing it, then there's a high chance that Musetti would have pulled out of the tournament. But then at the same time, I'm thinking, it's Djokovic's family that own the tournament license. And what do they need? They need stars to come to Athens for the tournament. So then you wouldn't tell anyone yet. So
I mean, do you like this situation that, we've got this week of tournaments where people can do crazy things, and we've seen the draw sort of affected in those ways. I mean, the Metz draw is a complete sort of, we've had lots of qualifiers and lucky losers placed because of players entering, players dropping out. Medvedev was meant to be there, pulled out injured. Felix was meant to be the top seed. As I said, he's pulled out injured. So Alexander Bublik, who who actually he's probably he's got nothing to play for.
Well, he's playing for a top 10 finish.
Top 10 finish. Yeah, fair enough. As the third seed is basically the top seed there. Do you like the fact that we've got this like sort of weird middle week between the Paris Masters and the Tour Finals? Or do you feel like it should just end with the Paris Masters?
I'm very much forward ending with the Paris Masters because you don't want tournaments where no one actually wants to end up playing them. And so I think it should end in Paris.
Yeah, it's not a good look, is it, for those 250s?
It isn't. And I think it's, all these wild cards, and it's just very messy at this point in the season, and end with a big tournament, a big result, and then we all know where everyone stands and everyone can prepare well for the final tournament this season, the ATP Finals, because last year the preparation was not great. Like Rublev, Diminar, Casper, they all had to go to Metz to basically turn up, and then they found out Djokovic wasn't playing and they were all in. So it just felt all a bit stupid, really. I think with the WTA, I'd like if they did a similar thing, because it does just feel crazy that there were just like 30 points between, the last was it the top three, the last three players qualified, the last four. It was a madness situation where you just think if you ended with a big tournament and then you counted the tournaments that come after for next year's race, I think I kind of prefer that we have a real clean break, because even this became a bit of a nonsense of someone's qualified because someone isn't playing something, but if they did, they could. You just want, I've qualified, you've hit the target, we're done. None of this nonsense, and then hopefully you won't have to kind of answer this sort of question in the future. It's a very good question, but at the same time, the race becomes a bit nonsensical at this point.
Okay, final question then. If you were Felix Auger Aliassime, would you have played Metz?
If I'm being honest, I wouldn't have played it because, as you say, I don't think Musetti is going to win the title. And I also think there's a chance Novak Djokovic won't play. But if it was me, yeah, I mean, I actually think I probably would skip.
Okay. I would have played. Keep the form going, keep the momentum going.
I mean, if you
see what happens.
You only really know, I think, if you don't get it, right? And I think that's when he'll know if he regrets the fact he didn't get himself in to qualify, to say he made another end of season finals. I think at the point when you just had a fantastic performance in Paris and you've seen the nature of an injury like Holger Rune had, and he did withdraw the previous week, you don't want to risk your health. And I think it probably is more connected to that than not wanting to be in Turin.
Yeah. Okay, well, we shall see how it unfolds.
Is Djokovic going to play though, Joel?
Yeah, well, Metz is on this week, as is the Athens Open. So let's have a look at both of those draws. And we've also got the rest of the WTA Tour Finals as well. Yeah, as you mentioned, Djokovic is back. He's got Tabilo, who he knows very, very well in the round of 16 in his first match. But yeah, I guess all eyes are on him for this tournament because there is family interest in this tournament. He's moved to Athens. His family own the license for this tournament. But I guess there is also those lingering questions on, will he play the Tour Finals? He is qualified already. I can't see why. If he's feeling fit, if he's playing good tennis, I can't see why he wouldn't play the Tour Finals and just have this sort of, I don't know, random week. It could be a good way of building momentum in a non-pressurized environment like Paris was for many of the top players. But
he's talked about not wanting to play too much because, age catches up with you. Mm-hmm. It's probably the worst.
He's had a bit of time off though.
But isn't it the worst preparation to play the week before the ATP Finals? Like, he doesn't often do that with Grand Slams either. You want to be as fresh as you can be.
True. Yeah.
I don't know. It's a strange one. And he did say the only tournament he's committing to was Athens. And then it would be playing for his country or it would be Grand Slams. So the only things are really on his priority list. So he's made it clear he skipped it last year, Joel. So I'm thinking he's not playing it, I'm going to say.
Okay.
And he's going to win in Athens and then he's going to bounce. What do you think?
I think he's going to win in Athens and then play the Tour Finals.
Either way, he's winning in Athens.
And I don't think Musetti is qualifying. Sorry, Musetti.
I think Musetti might go out in round 2, to be honest.
I mean, Wawrinka, great result against Van der Zandschulp earlier, showing, it's incredible what he's doing at 40 years old, what Wawrinka is doing. But so, yeah, very tough fight for Musetti. We'll get to Metz in a sec, but yeah, we do have the rest of the group stages of the Tour Finals. Gauff, Paolini on Tuesday, along with Sabalenka, Pegula. Then we have Rybakina, Keys, Swiatek, Anisimova. I mean, we'll see if Keys plays. We'll see if Paolini plays tomorrow. Who knows? Andreeva might be playing the Tour Finals already. Yeah. We do have Rybakina, I believe, already qualified for the semi-finals. Any thoughts? Any updates?
Well, I mean, I think Swiatek's going to take out Anisimova. I think she will. I think she's going to get the other semi-final spot. I think it will be a real wake-up call for her. I do think that Gauff Sabalenka could be very interesting again. I'm fascinated to see what happens there. But it all depends on if Gauff can get a win against Paolini, and that could be like an interesting live match. I do like when you got to get the calculators out, Joel. I think that's quite fun. And maybe the game difference or whatever, or the fact that, some matches went 3. But I'm not changing what I'm saying because I think we got to live by what we said, Joel. Okay.
I'm a little bit nervous about Pegula because Pegula's got Sabalenka, and Pegula had that great win against Sabalenka in Wuhan in the final set tiebreak. So
it's anyone's, literally it's anyone's.
Exactly. But Rybakina's still winning it for me.
Right. Did you say Anisimova?
Oh, sorry. I mean, Anisimova. Yeah. No, yeah.
She was your dark horse, so you can have a bit of credit.
Yes. Right. And finally, Metz. We got to talk Metz, Chris, because I was there. I'm back. I know our listeners have been listening to all of this episode and they're like, when are you going to get to talking about the Marcel Open? And it is that time.
I want to ask you some things, Joel.
Yeah. It's an emotional moment. It's an emotional moment because it is the final ever tournament in Metz. It's not going to be on the tour next year.
But did you ask them? Do you have clarification? Because I said this with Estoril. It became a 175 and it's back as a 250
next year. It's back next year, yeah.
So last one for now. We're sad for now. But are we sad based on your experience, Joel? We've just talked about the fact that we don't like this week of the year. But did we like the tournament that you attended?
I really loved the tennis that I saw. I was there for the kind of qualifying matches. There was a great atmosphere actually inside the arena. A real advert, I think, for kind of obviously French tennis fans. I like the fact that it's spread over kind of 2 weekends as well. I don't think Metz as a city is that. I'm going to be honest, it's not that interesting. It's quite boring.
Right. Well, Ugo Humbert, he's from there.
I'm sorry, Humbert. I'm dissing your hometown, but.
And how's Wickham, Joel?
We were there for kind of 2 nights, and not a lot going on. The tennis is kind of on the outskirts of the city, right. And
but you're giving us too much at this point, Joel, because I want to know your peak. Pit as a surprise. Your pit might be the actual city at this point. I'm guessing, but start with your peak.
Okay, peak. Right, I'm going to get up my notes here.
Oh, okay. He came prepared.
Yes, I did.
Alina and I never come prepared.
My peak moment probably was, watching Hugo Gaston, he was fantastic. Him against Terence Atman. I know Atman's had a great run in a Masters event this year, but he was made to look very ordinary, very one-dimensional against Gaston, who he just had an answer for everything. I think the court surface helped because it is a little bit of a slow court. But Gaston was just getting everything back. He had so much time, and Atman just sort of had no answer whatever. So watching Gaston was great. But I will also have to say, Billy Harris in qualifying, watched him against Luca Van Asch. It went 3 sets. It went to the Frenchman. But the feeling of being Brits abroad in a crowd, which is 99% French, and you're cheering on the away player, and Billy Harris saved, I think, 3 match points in the second set and took it to a third, and we were cheering him on big time. We created a little bit of back and forth with the French crowd, and I as a tennis fan, I absolutely love those moments.
Love those. That is a good moment as well, and Billy Harris, shame for him. But can he be a lucky loser, or was it the first round of qualifying?
I think it was the first round of qualifying, but it was a pretty high level match, I would say, for the first round of qualifying against Luca Van Asch. I mean, his ranking is a little bit lower than where he's been. I think he's been a bit injured, not been on the tour.
What was it? Did we say 63? Did we say he started off the
Yeah.
process? But what was your pit then?
Yeah.
If that was the peak,
Well, I sort of alluded to it already, but Metz as a city has not got a lot going on for
is
it.
there
I
a
would
comparison
say.
city that you could compare it to, Joel?
Um,
Coventry. We spent some time there.
yeah, I mean, it just didn't feel like the tournament was really part of the city.
Like
It
a
didn't
cultural
feel
immersion.
Yeah, it didn't feel like an event. There were a few promotional posters about, but we were out on the Saturday night talking to some of the kind of residents in the pubs, and they had no idea the tennis was going on. And I think it is in a tricky spot in the calendar, but I think it's hard because it's like this just feels like an event that is for all the French tennis players and anyone who maybe wants to pick up some last minute, ranking points. And I don't think it is, that
tough to succeed in that slot, and the marketing team is always going to struggle because it's the classic. You put someone on a poster and they won't even be there.
Exactly.
So hard to get excited for it. But then, what was the pleasant surprise then, Joel? We always finish on a positive.
Yes, we always finish on a positive.
Was the food, the catering? I can't believe I mentioned it yet.
It was.
Not
it was okay.
Surprise.
Do you know what? I guess to add maybe to
Not
a pleasant surprise.
Pleased you.
They had some live music
Really?
they had some live music in the food gazebo that was serving up, I'm not gonna lie, like batch pasta and,
Right, okay. So it's
quite-
not giving was your banana cheesecake?
Nah, it was not, but there was some live music. There was a live
Pasta.
Yeah, there was a
That's not very
live
French, is it?
there was a live covers band playing some they played some Bob Marley, they played some Coldplay. It was very eclectic. And it was raining. It was absolutely hammering it down outside, and they brought some good vibes during the day session.
Okay, I like that. I feel like
there you go.
it does sound like you had a proper tournament experience of a hardcore fan. I think if anyone ever questions if this really is 5 fans, 4 fans, I mean, Joel will bring out this example that you were in Metz qualifying.
What I loved was who were we watching? We were watching, I think it was during Gaston versus Atman, but I noticed a few people in the crowd were watching Sinner FAA on their phones whilst watching the tennis live. But it was a great event. I know people will probably be sad that it's not on the tour next season, but it's in such a difficult slot, and you just look at the draw. And it's a draw that is not thriving. You're not got your top 2 seeds there. They're probably very thankful Bublik, has turned up. Cam Norrie, I know he won today, but it's
well, we might get some interesting clashes.
Yes.
You never know. There could be Rinderknech could go deep, Norrie could go deep, and it might get a pretty decent final send off. Berrettini also getting a win today.
The hammer.
So we will see if it can have a redemption in its final edition.
We will indeed. But that is going to wrap it up for our latest tour catch up here at Tennis Weekly HQ. We hope you've enjoyed the ride with us. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss a moment of ATP and WTA action as we head to the ATP Tour Finals in Turin. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and all your favorite podcasting platforms out there. And if you love what you're hearing, be sure to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, as well as hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube.
And stay connected with us on social media. Please tell us if you think it's Venus Williams. You can tell us on any Facebook channel, Instagram, TikTok, X, Threads. Please just let us know, because I will go crazy if I've got that one wrong. You can also send us a mailbag. You can test us like we were tested today, tennisweeklypod@gmail.com, or visit our website, tennisweekly.co.uk.
And we're going to be back slightly earlier than Monday next week. We're going to be back on Saturday evening, hopefully, in between the WTA Tour Finals finishing and the ATP Tour Finals starting. So do look out for that one. But until then, it's goodbye from Chris.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time on Tennis Weekly.